Welcome back. Here it is, another Friday. This is April the 7th, first Friday of the month, the
And it's
year
also
2023.
it's also first Friday in the Christian calendar,
Mm-hmm.
and so
I'm Robert.
I'm Suzanne.
I'm Sandra. Oh, Suzanne.
Christina.
I went to sleep for a moment. No, it didn't. Here's
That's right.
Hoppy.
We're kind of in and out today. We
Yeah.
had a big day. The electrician came here at 7:30 this morning.
In
We all had
fact,
to be
you,
up and
you
ready.
may hear a pause or two if we have to interact with the electrician. So
Mhm.
you're
Oh,
part
such-
of it.
Such
You're part
sweet
of it
man.
today. Yep.
Mm-hmm. And we have an electrician today, Paul, who we've worked with, and he's very kind and respectful and very thoughtful.
Yep.
And he has a young man working with him.
Jacob.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
and he's beautiful.
Very handsome.
So anyway, we're getting ready to read the Alchemical Mind.
Yes,
That's how we
there
start
we
this
go.
class.
There
Now,
we
if
go.
Robert ever gets it,
There we
located on the
go.
screen
Got it on the screen now.
in the right manner.
Okay, the alchemical mind, air, seed of water, calm. Air and water are neither friends nor enemies. They are neutral. Perseverance preserves what you've already established and permits the cycle to roll over into new opportunities.
And what we're here for today is the rolling over. That's what the electricians are here
Mm-hmm.
to help our inside
A new
electricity
cycle.
roll to the outside electricity
Yeah.
That's right.
easily.
Uh-huh.
And because we need to have lights for our garden and lights for the temple area,
Cottage and
Mm-hmm.
cottage, and
front porch.
yeah, on the
porch.
front porch. So that's so the electricity here can roll out easily.
We're going to
So-
3 corners.
Yeah, that's good.
Okay, can you read that okay?
Mm-hmm. Rising up through me after a night of fire, the cooling energy of water and air is helping me to break away from the heated cauldron, all moving the forces of alchemy into a balanced cauldron. Transformation has completed and calmed the
Fuses.
fuses?
Mm-hmm. That's what you said.
Calm the fuses, the heat. Oh, fusion. Well, okay, fuses, the heat, on out past my limbs. This is what's often needed in alchemy for realization. And I have asked for realization in many areas, and I am grateful. Realization is a key right now that we need to open new doors, new ways of seeing, new perspectives, new angles of perception. Following the key through the keyhole is essential. I give myself time in the sun of the spring garden to feel the roots coming up above and the new buds on the tree, creating new gemoic sanctuary, creating a new gemoic sanctuary that we can settle in.
Ooh, I love that.
Isn't that
Oh.
sweet?
Sanctuary.
That's why you sit out at the trees in the spring. Air, seed of water, calm. Raven Suzanne.
And then the pattern for today with the alchemical mind is the omnidirectional mycelial healing pattern is number 9, which says the conceptual reconstruction of life experiencing. Vibration of harmonic transferal of information from past on into present, and the repatterning of this information at its highest potential of discernment. How to repattern information. By working with cycles and rolling over. So there we have it.
That's fabulous.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I think we found the key to Puppy being all cozy and sleepy during class
Mm-hmm.
and not barking at us. It's if he gets a good night's sleep, then he's already jumped around and barked during the whole class.
Mm-hmm.
But if he's up with us all night like we were, yeah, he's sleepy.
Yeah.
So we have to keep him up.
So you may hear him snoring.
Yes, and he's all snuggled up with us,
Yeah,
and
he's all
I feel
snuggled
very
up.
grateful for him.
Mm-hmm.
Well, this week, did we do that? I think this week maybe the first time. Maybe not, but last week and this week, or just this week, we have changed the title of the Alchemical Read class to the Alchemical Read magazine.
Mm-hmm.
Because we're actually storing the books on the website, and we're going to store them as magazines. They're We set them up as a flip book, but they're, in addition to that, they're a magazine. And
That's how it's supposed to be.
it's really kind of fun.
Mm-hmm.
We also have changed the long spoon into the Alchemical long spoon, and it's a magazine also.
Yeah.
And so there'll be like issues of it, or the long spoon will stay where it is, but the read will be
a monthly.
Yeah, will be like a monthly on them. And it also makes it easy for us to actually share issues of it with people that might be interested in what we do and what we talk about and the profound ideas that we come to from week to week. It's so cool because this is from week to week, and for 10 years or 11 or 12 we've had the Alchemical Read class even through the pandemic, but it's been more virtual. But it's it really is created to help us survive from week to week and stay inside of who we are. And everybody, all of you all used to say that when you came to the classes, it was like you could take a deep breath and be who you are, and you could find hope for the next week and hope for a lot of things. And I think it really is a magazine of hope. I think every week we get enough hope that we can make it through the week, because the more conscious you are, the more aware of you are of everything that's good and bad and ugly and above ground and not, and that can make you kind of oversensitive, and you could kind of experience a dropping of hope from week to week because you notice so much. You see all the signals, and what this magazine is yeah, you see those signals, but here's more to know. And I think that's what's happened for us, and you all spoken of it so many times over the years in the class, that you came in all loaded down. When you left, you were not. All that had been spun to another vibration, another tone. So it's really fun now to share them, because they're really they're a voice of hope from week to week to help you translate your life. So that's really cool. I like that.
I love the cover here too. With your
This is
collage. Very
we put
colorful.
this very, very bright
I'm going to make it bigger so you can
patterny
see
cover, because we had another one, and we said we want something that looks really alchemical, and this looks very alchemical to us.
Oh, it
Yeah.
does.
And so the collage is regulated no longer by loss. The beginning rises up through the crust of complexity. Opened is the name, and codex rewrites itself from the desire of all.
I love that.
And I think that's what happens in the Alchemical Read class, is that we're there as a codex rewrites so that we come into what we desire. And it like rises and lifts us up into the next week and shows us more of who we are and what's going on underneath everything that still has a lot of hope in it.
Yeah.
Okay. So it has begun to germinate, the patternizer rooting deeply in this really huge, beautiful mandalic piece in the center.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
We'll go to the next page. Let's go a little bit smaller.
You want to read? Barbara?
Okay. The Alchemy of Grace and Constitution.
That's the name of this class, this week magazine.
Introduction. To allow your body to raise its constitution is to go out into the spring and gather all the buds into your sight, so that the healing gems of the trees can saturate your consciousness. It's supposed to be gemos. And heal your nervous system, so that in this time you will be able to blueprint yourself for the future.
Oh, I love the
Didn't
elephant.
like Gemos,
Oh,
did
this
it?
guy, I love
Little
him.
eyeball.
And this goes
He's such a
here, like
gentle,
that.
sweet.
There.
I love photographing him.
Mm-hmm.
The elephant of long memory concerns itself with grace and constitution. The jaguar is deep in reclamation and secret whisperings.
Yeah.
Isn't that fun?
Mm-hmm.
You know, it got so silly. Robert and I have never reached the peak of our silliness.
We're just
And we
getting,
keep trying
we're
to
just
climb
getting
it every
started.
day. So these great little cutouts that I had gotten at the Goodwill, that I put them
Mhm.
together, and they're so, and I took pictures of them, had so much fun with them, have become more alive in our lives. So I had them at my side desk where in the morning we have breakfast and I do the Alchemical Mind and put things on to the social media. I started, I have them in a little side altar and they're up on top of everything, and I started putting them on the desk and like they were moving around and I like, and then they would go over to where Robert was working over on the larger computer,
Mhm.
and all at once they show up in the little trays there. You know, not all of them, just maybe elephant. He's been wandering over there this week, and the jaguar, and then I've been having the lion's been over on my table, and it's just like it's like we never thought they would do that. The height of silliness that two adults can do that do such serious work
Mhm.
is quite, oh, it's really,
It's just all
it's
inspiring,
constitutional
sweetheart.
for
It's
us.
just
Yeah.
all inspiring.
Yes. So those guys are moving around.
Yeah,
So don't be surprised if you see them at your house someday.
that's right. So here we go. April 7th, Alchemical Read Class, The Alchemy of Grace and Constitution. We find ourselves surrounded by the field of grace, and the increasing amount of support folds into our papered awareness as it opens flat to show the expansiveness of the curve.
This collage I made
Oh.
yesterday after a wonderful walk that Robert and I did down by the water.
Mm-hmm.
The balancing of potency is in the desire of love and the determined will of existence getting a foothold in life.
Mm-hmm.
Wow, that is so cool.
And it was so, well, the miracle of it, I was just telling Sandra and Christine and Suzanne this morning that I only took 3 pictures. We'd been walking the boardwalk. We came to the car and there was this beautiful tree that just had buds, little red buds on the end. And then it had this moss growing on it. And all I did was take 3 pictures plus my feet. And and I thought, well, what are you going to do with that? The little buds out in the air. And I got back and I realized that it's a gemmo. That isn't just a bud, it's a tree gemmo.
Yeah.
And that's in the spring, there's so much going on that these tree gemmos really start, changing the atmosphere so that we can enter what spring is about.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's how that happened. And it was so miracle to me. So the balancing of potency is in the desire of love. And that little potency is in the bud.
Mm-hmm.
Because it has the whole blueprint of the whole tree and the whole mycelia that the tree goes down through. And the mycelia of all the mycelia connects to all over, not only our planet, but the galaxy.
Wow.
So I love that feeling. So we have the feet grounded with my fox socks,
Mm-hmm.
and the mycelial that's growing on the little, what do you call that, Sandra? Moss
Moss.
Mm-hmm.
that's growing on the tree bark itself, and then its little buds, and then you have this vastness of the planetary galactic energy of the female becoming a voice in the world.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean this as a female balance with the male inside of her, not the female that's trying to knock out the male. And because there's always a male. There is always, even in the women that prefer females, they still have their male. And they're never going to be able to work without it. And so it keeps the balance that the female needs, whether she is out in the world or at home. Let's see, and this is, are you seeing at, what did it say?
Look at what you're seeing.
Yeah, look at what you're seeing. And so I love that piece. And then the imprensio pattern is, this imprensio pattern, number 96, harmonizes all sound, thought, the tone of self in the nuclei of each cellular process, so that the projected embodiment of body tone can move freely from beingness in all momentum.
I love the picture also of your shoes because I don't always see your feet at first. There's an image in between your feet that's what I always see, and it's like it's so cool. It almost looks like a peacock. I mean, and then I have to register. Oh wait, those are your feet, but there's something in between that is really awesome.
That's so insightful because we do a lot of peacock work. A lot of peacocks, they take in poison and then they transmute it. And I never thought of it, but they do look like peacocks.
So
The little holes, it does give a peacock feeling. And so that's really neat that I stepped deep into that. Those are my absolute favorite shoes. I've never had a shoe work with my feet the way those are worked. They, even if my feet are sore, I get those shoes on, they're not sore, and I can walk easily. And really gives me the flexibility and the support for nice long walks. So they are such peacock shoes. Isn't that wonderful?
Unintended by the fall, the spring uproots the fallen and composts the energy into awakened abilities of nutrition. Being fed by the Gaia of our own invented nature, I think that was, I'm not sure that they changed it. We connect through the underground network of mycelial fibers.
Wow. Being fed by the Gaia. So it's really, the feet are there really perfect in that collage because we're working with the mycelial.
There. They changed it.
Own internal nature. Yeah. Oh my God, we're going to read that
again. Big difference, huh? Being fed by the Gaia of our own internal nature, we connect through the underground network of mycelial fibers.
And that's what the collage is. We're really aware of this right now because we can see the outer skeletal of the trees. And it's like they have that outer skeletal is matched by the one below too. So that's really cool.
That is really cool.
Or even more so. Topped by the crown of our evolvement, we see further across the canopy and we branch out into new and better climates. Reaching the reach of our soul, we climb on the back of elephant and the pachyderm begins the journey.
Oh, so cool.
And then this is another one, the picture I got from that. Spring has broken through the consciousness of limitation as the vision can gain a foothold on the landscape of the future. And look at her, you can see her face coming through there. Look at that foothold. Straight ahead. And then there's a tree with this little, I took a picture of it with its little branch kind of, it's like kind of reaching really and it's almost like in motion coming out.
Yeah.
And then the bud. Isn't it gorgeous?
Yeah.
And then the beautiful picture at the very insightful picture of the moon, moon woman.
The moss looks so huge and then also microscopic.
Yeah.
But you can hardly see it just sitting there.
It's like so round.
It's so round and it's just sitting there. It doesn't have any prop or anything.
So fabulous.
Making no sense, we innocently carry forward our need to explore, and the reason is seated in the heart. We reclaim our mode of transportation and sit atop the sway and the rock of row of the movement.
Oh, that's cool. Sitting on top.
Portrayed by the event of uproot, we advance ourselves past the crowd of sleepers and move toward the desired audience of hearing more deeply. We find what we are looking for and are elated by their presence. This is, I think it's the last one I did with this. Collecting all spores of intelligentsia. The Trigemo emulates the emotional nervous system awareness into balance.
That is so good.
And that's what they do.
I love that fanning shape of the collage you've done.
Oh God, I do too.
So
It's such a reach.
knowing full well the desire to meet the need with want, the reclamation is sweet and connected to our depth of understanding, what greets us with longing. For so long we have felt the secret whisperings that opened the heart with the sounds of beauty, color, and pattern. Our days have been colored by their awareness as it met with ours.
I love this one. This is the
Mhm.
Jimmels. The tree Jimmels. Walnut. She's the one up here on the right with the little blue, black dots on her chin. The walnut. The spindle. She's inside the square.
Mhm.
Mistletoe. She's over on the other side with her. Like she just come out of the chimney.
Mhm.
So the tree Jimmels, walnut, spindle, and mistletoe, correct the atmospheric imbalance and assist the mother in mycelial communicators becoming resonant.
Mhm.
And I love that you
I
can
love
see
that.
that on the walnut, that down to bottom, this little walnut shell.
Mhm.
And my son he got them from the walnuts there on the farm, but he cut them and then he sanded them.
Slivers
They're
of
really
them.
yeah. And he made earrings and he had a few extras and I put them on her because she's walnut.
Mhm.
So it was collaboration.
Oops, hold it. I thought something had shifted here. I gotta bring this up. Bear with me for a second.
Walnut's really forward this month with the walnut
There we
gemmo
go.
and transition and
Yes,
all that. So I love that.
it's perfect, isn't it?
He
Mhm.
made. I don't know how he cuts those walnuts like that.
I don't either. I don't want to know.
Mhm.
Isn't that incredible?
And some kind of machine, I imagine.
Mhm.
No sooner have we turned the corner than the corner met us squarely in the face, and face to face we gave the signal of the smile. Joy and well-being are instrumental in the forward momentum of the real reaching through the field and into our place. God, Robert, that is wonderful. And place is so important. We have to have a sense of
We
place.
have to.
Okay. Announced by no one, we enter the opening with gratitude. And we forward our steps through this threaded existence of each fiber woven to include us in the tapestry.
Oh, that's beautiful.
So
I
sweet.
love
It's
that.
like
Mhm.
just poetic.
Mhm.
It is.
I love this collage. The gemmo, the bud, the blueprint for the nervous system of the entire mycelial tree of life of the universe. That is so
God, that's
wonderful.
great.
The close up of them,
That sure
of the
is.
moss, and then the close up of the tree and its branches and the bud. It's so sweet.
It's all on one tree.
The mother hears our voice as we do hers, and by following the photonic sound of pattern, we are able to reach the table set for us.
Oh, I love that.
All laid out in geometric patterns of color, we find our seats and begin the meal of in form. We are shaped by the consciousness we hold dear to our very being, and we receive the gifts of light.
Oh, and this one's a combination
Mm-hmm.
of, let's see, that's the bee. She's a totemic, and then the two Jimmels.
Yeah.
Tree Jimmels moving our world in alliance with the mycelial climate of change.
And we are in a climate of change. And
This
a
is
season of
fig
change.
and maple, and then of course the bee, which is a totemic, working together. Lighted by the way we think, the way we speak, and the way we receive, we gain a full measure of intake, and the output is immense. Time passes as the space expands, with a fullness of pattern moving omnidirectionally. Oh God, I love that.
Our holographic projection moves through the space of allowance, and the unlimited is met with favor. This is needled into the fiber and width, and the narrow expands its reach.
Folding consciousness with your hands, you can do more than bend a spoon, always standing up to your power. I love that.
I do too. This time the elephant.
Tell that to Uri Geller.
Yeah. This time the elephant and the jaguar have been hand in hand, helping us clear the way, move the obstacles, and find food to eat, food that lingers in our senses, all part of our constitutional development in this time and space.
So we're really developing a stronger constitution
Mm-hmm.
now so that we're ready for the full blueprint of the spring and the summer and the fall. We are naturally becoming more organic in our nature, whether we know it or not. We've come to understand the pitch of our scent, even though we have forgotten how
How?
to smell. The mother rises from the waters of emotions and grounds us in our own mathematics.
I love that.
I love it too. So geometric, Sophic intelligentsia, mathematical equations. There is a new awakening that is moving our sense of life, no matter whether we have asked for it or not. We are beyond the no. We have entered the yes. Whether we know,
Whether we know it or not.
whether we know it or not.
So I'm closing up
Maybe
shop.
H.
WH.
Hold on.
Because of the electricians.
Here come the electricians.
Here they come.
We are hunted down by our decision. And that, whoa, 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 whoa. Can you come back up here? Come here. Come here. Come on.
Such a guard dog. The drill's going on over there. So, welcome. Pardon our mess and our construction.
We are hunted down by our decision. And that decision is somewhat unclear to us yet. We have the memory of words that speak way below the fencing range and down deep in the mycelial capacity.
Wow, that's cool.
Mm-hmm.
Deep down.
The forward mix of imprential patterns allows codial marks, firefly patterns of the imprential world, to illuminate the phalines.
I love that collage with that.
And it's done in
The DNA
the
helix.
DNA, yeah.
I love that.
And it's a bit of the story, the
Midsummer Night's Dream.
huh?
Is it Midsummer Night's Dream?
No, it's
that one?
never ending story.
Yeah, never ends. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, and then it has the flowers and the water working with the water energy.
Yeah.
It's beautiful. It really is.
Are they working on something over here?
Uh-huh.
Oh.
It's,
When nature comes up to breathe, even when we did not call it, we are more ahead than we realize, or more ahead than we realize because we have forgotten how to sense time and timing. We have lost our intuitive sniff. I love that, the intuitive sniff.
If he has to do a whole lot, we can just stop for a little bit.
There are many now that are experiencing a nose awakening, and they're beginning to smell what has been plotted out. They are trying to revivify themselves in order to breathe, and the breath has become so picky about its air that we breathe shallower and shallower each day, not to be found out.
Wow.
wow, that makes
Yeah, that's really pretty big.
sense. That's what we're doing.
Held within each codial angle is calming of forces that can allow regeneration. And this is a beautiful collage of the different codials and the story of never ends and the codial marks of the different depths.
I
It's
love
really
the
wonderful.
shaping of that.
Oh, that's really cool.
The air we breathe is becoming more complicated and the complex and unreachable. So we bend down into the roots of trees to smell their mapping ways and find a way to see. We begin to see through trees. We have begun to map their buds and leaves and flowers and nuts and fruit. We are starting to trace our hands on the marks. Trace our hands on the marks of trees. So we can follow their narrow ridges that bridge our way back to ourselves.
That is beautiful.
Thank you. Then this is a wonderful collage. Oh God, this thing is delicious. Understanding, listening, feeling inside, emotion, and its gestational ability to seed, the language of the bloom and its reach. Just take that in because
You're gonna love this. This is
that
on,
is a very
on
special moment
page
in time.
13 of the flip book. Just delicious.
We have bound ourselves to our own sovereignty and forget the climb, but instead dig deep down through the roots to where the world is upside down and the tree is on the other
I
side.
love
Oh, yeah.
wow.
that. I love that you wrote that. I recognize that part.
when the pulling forward becomes more effective than the pulling back, we will be more ready for the future cognitive memory.
Mm-hmm.
And I love this collage with that.
Uh-huh.
The wind rolls and the pitch of Oya reigns. We begin to enter the ceremony of the voice.
Oh, yeah.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
That's beautiful. There is a timing in this, and it calls out to the clock. There is no renegade. There is no wanton cause. There is only the wrinkle in thought that needs to iron out its ways, so that the immaculate can sit in front of the stone.
Isn't that wonderful?
That sounds kind
Wow,
of like
that is.
today.
It's kind of reflective of this time of year.
Yes, it
Mhm.
is.
When the negative nature decides to disembody itself, the world will have freedom to enter the soul of its very being. The potency of this time is like an alchemical egg sitting on the perch of its ready.
Mhm.
Oh, wow.
I love that part right there when
Mhm.
no, up a little tiny bit. When the negative nature decides to disembody
Disembody.
itself.
Yes.
I love
Is
that.
that when I shall leave?
The world will have freedom to enter the soul of its very being. The potency of this time is like an alchemical egg sitting on the perch of its ready. I just love that feeling.
I do too.
The female power positioned for the mark of sovereignty threading through her lineage.
Mhm.
I love this piece. It's just, it
Powerful.
matches.
Yep, it matches.
Just you'll love it when you see it. It's on page
Page 15.
15. Oh my God.
I love how you have the thread going through all of them.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
It's
They're
just-
all different, but that looks
Yeah.
like one thread.
It's so perfect.
We begin to know what the egg knows. When peace becomes the hallmark of our time, we will know that the elephant and the jaguar hunt together to clear the way and consume the path.
Isn't that wonderful?
Mm-hmm.
The mapping done between time and space has created a bridge that the soul's reach can sit upon. Time in and time out. All display the alchemical space. You know what this reminds me of? We just watched a wonderful film called The Gardener.
Mm-hmm.
And he has built a bridge over a little small body of water, a pond or something.
Mm-hmm.
And the bridge, instead of just going straight across, the bridge is this beautiful, it looks, kind of oriental, but it rises up in like it's part of a circle, and then it comes back down. And the circle continues in its reflection perfectly in the water. And it's a bridge that you can stand and look over,
Mm-hmm.
and it's like a place for the soul to sit upon.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And so, and the water, the circle looks like the alchemical space,
Oh yeah.
and it's above and below, and so the bridge is reflected into the water, but it looks like it looks like a full circle that's fully connected. And so that's the alchemy between air and water, and you're looking down into it.
Oh, love that.
And yeah, isn't
moon
that
bridge.
fabulous?
I love that.
It's a
It
moon
is
bridge.
called a moon bridge, that's right.
Hmm. Each and every breath we take seeds our world of patterns that assist us. I love this. This is such a beautiful combination of this wonderful pattern, and then the small piece that says my breath seeds, and it's like a squared perspective.
Mm-hmm.
And in the seeding of the breath, it creates a squared perspective. And then it refers to Kundalini, which we've done this wonderful book that's Kundalini and the sovereignty it creates. And each page is unto itself, or the different pages. One page will be like this piece, and the next page will be the patterns
Mm-hmm.
that alchemically help balance what's going on in the Kundalini. So we're now starting to make much more available the book about the body zero. We put it in the long spoon. we're putting it on social media. We're sharing the patterns. But in here, these patterns are from all the different decks, because there's 10 decks altogether, and it's so beautiful because it has 3 on the other side that work as in a trinary code together to help with balancing this kundalini, and so it's all done for you.
Mm-hmm.
You pick out the page. This is where you are, and because this time is a time of kundalini, and then these are the patterns that are going to help balance you. And last night, when all the fire was going, I got my kundalini book out, and I'm trying to remember the page. It was about dang, I just really went out with it.
Mm-hmm.
And I read it 3 or 4
so
times,
funny.
and then
Yeah.
I looked at the pattern and imprinted it, and then I laid down.
Yeah.
And but it was so on the mark for me. I mean, it just fully took it in.
Mm-hmm.
And but it's wonderful. It's wonderful bridge for your body and soul right now. It's like the moon bridge, and the because the kundalini is your fire, your energy moving up through your spine and up and out like a moon bridge.
Mm-hmm.
And then
Oh, I love
then as it glaciers over, it catches the patterns and comes back down, and then the patterns come up through the spine and then balance the soul's reach of the kundalini. So it's like almost like a moon bridge between your body, the patterns, and your soul. And so did I read that part?
You didn't read the
Kundalini
part.
happens when the threads of your life needs unknotting, and the colors of your aura need room to gather more color and wind.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
That's
that's
good.
a lot of people that.
We all go
We all
woo
went
on that
woo.
one.
We're all gonna go.
Oh.
That was a woo.
That was a woo woo one. And the book has about
Woo woo.
no, I'm just kidding. The book has about 300 pages, and it took a great deal to make it, and it cost us $100 just to publish it. So we didn't put any markup hardly. I think we have maybe $5.
Yeah.
But in actuality, that's not a space we could barely afford it, and it's not the ordinary space of most people.
Mm-mm.
But it's what it took to actually make it. But it is available on where we have it. Is available as an ebook there that you can look at the whole book. We don't have any kind of fences on it.
No.
And so you can go back and forth and utilize it, and it's on our site too.
Mm-hmm.
And then eventually we're going to try to take these books and make them into possibly a flip book that you could, because they're no longer, Blurb is not any longer making new ebooks for us, but it's on there as an ebook because we bought it.
Yeah.
But in the future, what we're trying to do is see a way we can take, because it will do a PDF file, and that's
Then we can transform.
then
that
we
into
can
a flip book,
transform
which
it.
is
But
like
the PDF
an
file's
ebook.
only
Yeah.
$5.98, so it's not too bad.
Okay. Whoops. Huh? Oh, so, yeah, here we go. Let's pause this for just a moment.
Somebody,
Yeah.
Hey, Paul. Here, stay back.
So we are back now after the electrician is gone.
well, she's been in
And we're
between
back
for a while.
on
Then
our
'cause she's looked
whole-
like that for a while.
Let's see, what page are we on now? We are page 16. There you go.
And her mom talked about what an open heart she has and how kind she is and everything. And she is, and that's just, what do you want? Oh my God.
When we narrow
When
the
did you
gap,
start
just
recording?
now, just now when I said
Okay.
here we are again. It's okay. When we narrow the gap between the heart and the mind, we narrow the gap between the male and the female.
Okay, I want to stop.
The child and parent. Okay, like I said, the electricians are gone, and we are on page
We're in our now.
16. When we narrow the gap between the heart and the mind, we narrow the gap between the male and the female, the child and the parent, the flower and the seed, the water and the stem, the voice and the spoken. The prayer flags of the wind corrugate time and bring close the sounds of relief. When the resonance of the heart becomes the resonance of the full embodiment, the vision opens and the sight becomes clear and the way is shown. That should be a small
That's beautiful.
T.
Yeah, I think, and we'll read this part. And Christine can share that she had a big opening, and I think it's about this. The prayer flags of the wind corrugates time, brings it all together, and clothes the sounds of relief. When the resonance of the heart becomes a resonance of the full embodiment, the vision opens and the sight becomes clear and the way is shown. And she had a wonderful dream. I'll have her share it with you. And it's about the Leviathan. And the Leviathan is about really deep connection all the way down. And it's also about a large opening, very large, because when a Leviathan opens its mouth, you know, your whole boat could go in.
Yeah, right. Oh, yeah.
So Kundalini holds out our world, hollows out our world, so the breath of a Leviathan can fill us, and we can swim with whales.
Oh,
that is
love
perfect.
that. Oh my
That's
gosh.
such an awesome piece.
And I'll read the next one, which is about that, and then you can share with them if you would, if you want to.
Oh,
Sure.
This has already begun, and it cannot be spun backward or robbed of its flow. It cannot be taken from, because it is already given.
Oh,
That's
Okay.
wonderful.
And the next one.
Mhm.
There is the motion and the motionary awareness. There is the fulfillment and the fulfillment awareness. Opened is a vessel of its own accord, so all is set, even beyond belief. And I think this is so abiding, because at times that is something that preys on all of us, you know, is our belief. And how capable are we able to believe in the things that we love, or we abide by, or that help us, but how deep can our belief go? And that's a big question. And this work really doesn't wait for that belief system, which is really a forgiving grace of it. Kundalini, the rise of the Leviathan, reaches us all in depth and breadth, because evolution, evolvement, and expression are life. So let the breath of flow free, and know you are there, and all is set into place. There is more memory and the resound of sound than there ever will be in the working it out. And I think this is amazing that these words work perfectly with that, with the picture.
Yeah.
Okay. And Christina told us the most wonderful, powerful dream. It's been a big week for all of us, and lots of shifts and things are happening. A lot of Kundalini is running. All of us are waking up some days with just a slight tremor of energy inside of us as it moves through, and kind of heats up, and just doesn't really make you terribly uncomfortable, but you can't really speed up what you're doing. You have to stay in a slower pace. And so we've all been really aware of it. So let the breath flow free, and know you are there, and all is set into place. There is more memory and the resound of sound than there ever will be in the working it out. And you want to share your dream? That was so perfect in this time.
Sure. I had a dream on the night of April 1st, and I was in a pool, a big pool with lots of people in it, and there was sand on the bottom of the pool, and all of a sudden this really big thing started rising up through the sand, and it was like dark, like black, and it was just huge, and it rose up out of the sand and stayed low, and it's funny because it was like a whale shark. Like, I recognized it was a whale shark, and I don't really know much about those things. So, but I was like, it's okay, it's a whale shark.
Your dream self knows,
I
I guess.
know. And so I knew it wasn't going to, like, eat me or anything, but I knew I wanted to give it some space and room. So everyone kind of cleared out, and I was trying to make some room for it to kind of move along in the pool. And as I moved along, the pool had ended up having this narrow corridor where it was just me and the whale shark. And and it was really wild because I could feel it like swimming next to me, and it was so big, but it was so gentle at the same time. And so then when we got to the end of the corridor, all of a sudden it's almost like it stood up, and its fin opened like a 50-foot wooden door, and it just like opened it, and then I just was like in shock that this thing just went up that high and opened it with this fin. And so it was just like really significant what that was for me to have that kind of a dream. And when I looked up whale shark, it was like it looked just like a leviathan. I mean, it is a leviathan. It's like a big, it feeds by opening its mouth so huge, and it just kind of eat, the fish just and everything just kind of go right in. And
But it was the largest fish in the world.
it is, and I wouldn't have really have been familiar with leviathans if it wasn't for your work. And so I wasn't afraid, in the dream. And so, and I did find out that they are really like gentle,
And they have no predators.
They don't have
They're the
any
only thing
predators,
that-
and they have actually beautiful, detailed outside, almost like markings, like Aborigine, almost like Aboriginal, where it's like dots.
Wow.
Oh,
And,
yeah.
So when you look up close, they have those, but when you look farther back, they're just a big, beautiful presence. So I was really grateful for that totemic dream, and the whale shark has been helping me this week. Move through new doors opening. So it's really wonderful.
That was an awesome dream
That
to
is
hear.
an
Thank
awesome
you.
Oh, God.
Yes.
So
Well,
it
that's
was very
speaking of.
exciting.
Really is. And it didn't close the door, so I couldn't go through it either. It's
And
like it just
that's-
opened it, and then,
You had
Wow.
triple
so I
fish.
love that.
Almost like it was beside you, it swam with you, and then it opened the door for you.
Yeah.
It's true.
Mhm.
It really did.
It
It
was
did
your
go
choice from
first.
now on.
Yeah,
Mm.
I know. It was really powerful, and I was really grateful for it.
Oh, that is so, it's an exciting dream.
It is.
I mean, I don't get to, you hear, exciting dreams, it's always wonderful. They're not like every day, and so it's
Right.
always wonderful to hear one.
And my life has been changed since that dream. It really has been different in so many wonderful ways. So creatively and expression wise. So when you wrote about expression and all the ease,
Oh, right.
that I felt like all those words that you wrote about is what opened more for me this week.
I wonder what it is about sand. It's like years ago I had a garden dream, and I was working with creating potency in the garden, and I had read about people working with I don't know if I know the name now. It was it was a type of gardening.
Bioculture or something. Or
Something similar, yeah.
Yeah.
And you would take a horn of a cow horn, or and you would fill it with herbs, and you would go to a special place in the garden, and you'd put dirt in it. You may put gemstones or crystals in it, and you'd put herbs and different plants and different things in the horn, and then you would plant the horn down under the ground. And we did that at one corner of the garden in Camden. And the reason I did it was I had this dream before that where that I was in the garden, and I had made a hole in the ground in the dream, and I had put the head of hawthorn down in the hole. And as soon as it dropped down into the hole and set on the thing, it was 6 horses flew up out of the garden like sand. They were like under the sand, and they all flew up. Their whole heads and then their whole bodies came up in the garden, and they were full horses, and the sand just flew everywhere because they were buried in the sand.
Oh my God.
And it was such a signal that I went to talk to Deb Soul about that kind of dream, And she told me about that kind of gardening of working with the horns. And with Hathor, see, it was Hathor with the horned goddess is what I placed down into the garden. And so then I did create where I took the cow's horn and put everything into the garden. It's a biodynamic kind of, like you said. And but it was the sand, and you were talking about him. You know, that you were so aware that it was the sand on the bottom of a pool.
And that's not usual for a pool.
No.
You know, it's like
It's like the ocean.
And it came
Make
out
up
of
your
nowhere.
mind. Which
Just
are you?
Emerged. From,
Yeah.
That's so cool.
That was really cool. I love that. Okay, let's see, where are we now? Swim to the corners. Swim to the corners. Spin inside the square. Resonate who you are, and all light will be freed of obstruction. Carved out of space are many lives, and the echo runs free of code. So make up your memories and give them room to speak from a time of sovereignty.
That's beautiful.
Similar to the dream right there.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. And this is a wonderful collage we did years ago. I love this one, and this is also in the Kundalini book. We used it. It's the face of one of the guardians of the heart, and then the patterns from the mythic fairy tales. Kundalini pulls on all the courage of your life, helping you actualize all that is needed to create a voice of sovereignty, a vox. And so it's done like in the collage of a box, like a voice box.
I love that.
Called the box. Oh, I love when they come together. So neat to use it here. Trace your fingers across time till you reach your other hand and press it deep into the lines. A pulse will begin to fill the between, so you know you have spoken it all before. Oh, I love that. Because, you know, you tell people by the lines you tell them, you know, their future or their past of who they are, and it's you pulling together what you've spoken before. I just love the magic of how that came.
I do too. Person and place will signify your significance, and you will find home in the breath of your own pattern. Let go, let go, let go of your right to this world.
Wait, let go of our right to see this world.
Let go of our right to this world.
Oh, our right of this. I love that.
Okay, let me read that again. Person and place will signify your significance, and you will find home in the breath of your own pattern. Let go, let go, let go of our right to this world. And it goes with this one.
And this is the tulip, which is all about cutting through with a new idea, and I love how it came into this collage
I love that.
with that in front and center, and then the patterns. Okay.
Cutting through with a new idea.
Be in it. Be of it. Be from it. All we are is all we are. And all we are is the most glorious way to be. The comet erases the sky erases the comet, and both remember how it is.
That's ancient.
That was so ancient to
Yeah.
to actually speak. When you were typing what I said, that is just like, oh my God, just following it and the feeling of it as the words emerged was magical. Oh, it was a magical time.
It was.
Can we read it again? Be in it. Be of it. Be from it. All we are is all we are. And all we are is the most glorious way to be. The comet erases the sky, and the sky erases the comet, and both remember how it is. It is a moment given by a moment given by a moment given. So take up the speed and relate differently, because in the difference we have hope. We have the necessary elements to accept, receive, and give. And I love the rhythm in that one. I didn't know where it was going. Can I read it again? It is a moment given by a moment given by a moment given. So take up the speed and relate differently, because in the difference we have hope. We have the necessary elements to accept, receive, and give. And that's what hope is.
Mm-hmm.
That's so, and I love the elephant in this one. And he says, number 7. 7 again is a magical number. Feeling the deep mystery of your choices, you move the obstacles out of your way.
Oh, wow.
That's
I
delicious.
just love that Ganesha's food. I'm telling you.
Thank you. I know you do, Christine. It's so sweet to have you love it like that. The more time given, the more time received. And in the receivement, the movement happens. It happens first, then it happens again, followed by the always third. I love that.
The always third. I love that.
Okay.
Completing the momentum forward, we ride the ride into the seat of our becoming, and the embracement of allow, and the embracement of all. That's supposed to be all.
All we are.
Yeah, it's supposed to be all we are. Boy, how they chopped that all up, didn't they? Oh. There we go. Completing the momentum forward, we ride the ride into the seat of our becoming and the embracement of all we are. This connects us to our totemic alliances, and they gather around us for support.
I think it's interesting that word allow came in. Because of earlier this week, that same word came up about not being allowed.
Oh, yeah.
So now allowed showed up.
Yeah.
Maybe that's a sign. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yes.
And there's the heart chakra.
Yeah, this week she's referring to, we have had so much fun being inside of a master class with Greg Graydon and Nassim Harriman. We just really were excited about it, and it's about the forbidden science. And we knew that it would relate to what we are and what we do. And it was true. It was just really wonderful openings in it that felt so supportive. And so we were encouraged, and there's a group called the Nassim Harriman group. I don't think it's directly under him. You know how groups form around a certain person that they want to be part of. And so anyhow, we had joined that group months ago. And they have interesting things, but the best group is just Nassim himself, because he has so much enthusiasm, and this didn't really show up in the master class. It's like they dampened him down, had like a buffer zone on him.
Yeah.
And anyhow, we went to the Nassim group that we had joined, and we submitted 5 different things at different times. And one were some of the more alchemical collages. The other was the book we had that was all about inferential patterns and the body zero. And so each time we submitted something, it would have it pending, and then they don't tell you anything, and it just is not pending anymore. That means that you've been passed out. I mean, it's been denied. So we did it another time, and it happened again. And so we then did another time, and I said, well, Robert, I said, this is so discouraging. I said, there's just, and anyhow, I said, what do you want to do? He said, well, I'm going to submit again. And I said, well, okay. So we did. We ended up submitting, I guess, 3 things. So altogether it was 5. And one was a really neat collage talking about the science of pattern, but the collage was really easy to read and kind of in sync with it, and really we just loved it, and that was up pending, and the next one was another one that was that some maybe one of them is in here in this class, one or two, and we thought, well, that's really, it doesn't say too much, but it's a nice post, and they will understand it because they're in this forbidden science, and the work, that the way we talk about our work is real similar. So and that was pending, and then finally we put in the book and about in principle patterning, and that was pending. And then after a day or so, it wasn't pending. And then we looked to see if it had been put on somewhere, and it hadn't. And that's a non-allowance. And it was kind of heartbreaking, and it took a bit to climb back out of the hold of limitation that they live in. And we're more color, but they need more color. And in our language is more with the feeling part of the sciences, and they need more of that. And so it was really a big loss for them. And I don't feel if I met Nassim that he would be in that same place. And so that was kind of a hard hole to climb out of, but at the same time, we just, what did we do, Robert? After we cried and got down on the floor and had a fit.
Went on.
No.
We went on like we always do.
Went on like we always do.
Mm-hmm.
And trying to be a male and female voice together in this time is harder than being a female voice or a male voice or any kind of other voice. It is the hardest voice to be right now. I don't care what kind of voice you have or what kind of connection you have more room to have a voice than the voice we have.
Mm-hmm.
Because there's such an imbalance that, the female could be female and male, or the male could be male and female, and they could have a voice, but not the male embodiment and the female embodiment balanced together. But that is what is required to do this work. And so it's been kind of, we've met up with this all over the years, but now I can't even fit in with a female voice because I have a connection of alliance with a male voice. And so all the types of female voices are different combinations of male and female in one person. Those are all acceptable, but not the female fully voiced and the male fully voiced as one. And in actuality, that's the only kind of voice that will change things in this world. Mm-hmm. We can't be a female voice mad at male voices, a male voice mad at female voices, or a female voice being a male voice, or a male voice being a female voice. It's like those are all fine, but they are not the combination that turns the lock. And that's why this key doesn't get picked up. And it was really kind of disheartening for going forward. But we made this into a magazine. We made Long Spoon a magazine. The Long Spoon itself, it takes 2 to 3 full 8-hour days, both of us, to create the Alchemical Long Spoon magazine. And it's solid. It's a lot of work. It's a lot of gathering. It's a lot of working intuitively and placing and this and that and asking many, many, many things. And then to do this every single week, it takes Robert and I about 13 hours together to create the Alchemical Read magazine. It takes the sitting with it and channeling it into space together, combining our voices and going back and forth. It takes to make all the collages that really will match this voice, this voice of hope. That's what the Alchemical Read is, a voice of hope every week that connects us from one week to the next. And so the gathering of and making of collages and all of that takes a high it's really connecting with the intuitive over and over and over again, and making sure that you've connected the heart mind, and it's much easier than it's ever been before, but it still takes time. It takes time to type it all up and then put the pictures with it, to make all of them, the collages. And the collages are there to help the body actually adapt to the energy of what the writing is. And it really helps any kind of triggers, and it also enlightens the moment, and actually balances so that you can move from page to page. And this week's been a big week. We created The Long Spoon, we created this book, and we've been busy working with several other new books that we're doing, and working in the garden. So it was that was so fun. And the boys have come over, the two older boys have come over to be in these classes with us, with all this new thought. And it's really been neat and fun to share that. And Christina has connected them, where they talk about the holographic, that she's connected them in with the holographic decks, and they really like that. And I think it's helped us reconnect. Really wonderful. And Sandra and Suzanne and Christina work with them. They fix them a little lunch. The 2 days they come, and they're here about 2 or 3 hours. And that's an intensive sharing. And so try to work with that, with the Nassim Harriman group, and keep trying to move your energy forward and be positive, and allowing yourself to open is hard. And with female groups, there's very little opening for my voice as a female, because I'm deeply connected to a male voice. And so that's not really considered, I guess, much of a female voice. But to me, that's the real female. It's the real female that's joined with her male to have a balance of the polarity, and not working with the polar voice. So there's my little speech. And I'm still going. And this is someplace I can talk about it, in addition to everything else. And I think you all probably experience it too, because you are...
It's part of the fabric of
that alchemy.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah. Now, this piece here, I adore. This is the heart chakra.
We're talking page 22 of the flip book.
Yeah, it's kind of a tan background. We used to call it the pink pages. And they're the very original things that Robert and I did when we first came together, and we first channeled drawing and writing and ideas together in one moment in time. But what amazed me, these drawings, if you'll see how intricate they are, Robert drew them maybe a minute with all that detail. There was no ruler, there was nothing like that. It was just, he just automatically started moving it. And I think it's one of the most powerful drawings I've seen him do. It is the heart chakra. And it's just beautiful. You see how complex it is, and why it's so efficient, and why it connects with all the other organs. Can you lower that again so I can see it a little bit?
Oops.
The drawing. And up at the top of it, you see up close, I did so up close, where you see the intricacy of everything, all the everything that works there. It's like there was no ruler, there was no time. It just he immediately started drawing it very quickly, and it's exact. And that's how it is. And then over here you see it's smaller because it's a big page, and that's where I automatically started writing about it. And you really can't read that much of it from here, and I wasn't I was just working with a pencil, and we were just inside of it. And I had never written that kind of combination of words before, so that was kind of complex. I didn't have a pre-designed idea.
You didn't have a ruler.
I didn't have a ruler no more than Robert did. I wrote it about as fast as he drew it.
You did.
Okay.
That's magical.
And we wanted to share it right now, because this heart chakra is what is now owning its own sovereignty in this world. And I think we talked about that, in the last class, or what did I talk about? The heart is... Oh, I think it's something I posted. Yeah, that was about the heart is owning its own sovereignty in our time, and it will do it.
Yeah, that was, I think, in an alchemical mind.
In alchemical mind, okay.
I think so.
Yeah, so the alchemical minds are done every day, and if you need something to kind of sit you down into the alchemy, they're in that spot. I sit in that spot, and I don't think it through.
Mm-mm.
And we have more and more people coming to it in the world that we haven't had from our regular
Mm-hmm.
crew. And we're also even thinking about reducing our regular crew of, not you all, but we have this huge friends that are like, what, 700 or 800?
Friends list. Mm-hmm.
And we hear from anywhere from 3 to 24. And so we're really, all algorithms have been moved around, so we're really wondering if we unfollowed a lot of the rhythms that have asked for friendship, but never ever acknowledge that they're even present, that if we unfollow them, maybe the people that are more present, there'll be more room for them on the logarithms, and that will be good for them and for us.
Yeah.
Really good. So we're looking at that, and it's a way of finding more availability to everyone and more encouragement for ourselves, so that we don't fall down under the rug and not find our way out. Okay, you can go ahead.
And breathing the breath of life and the in and out of molecular exchange, we matter ourselves by listening first to our own self-awareness and then to the greater picture surrounding us on the inside. Get that corrected. Oh, there you go. Deep is the breath, deep is the dive, deep is the resonance that comes to connect and give its gifts of insight and compassion. Intention being the key, and willingness being the open door.
Well, and I think also that the difficulty right now in that key into the spiritual sciences that include spirituality and the physics and all of that, we've lived there for 35 years.
Yeah.
But also what is required is not only the intentionality, but the emotional feeling level of our mathematics. And I think that our work works with language that is in the more emotional feeling, emulating level. And we include the daily life. And so the world of the forbidden science hasn't quite, some parts of it, like Nassim hasn't quite integrated the emotionality and the physicality of living inside of mathematics, because we are mathematical, and living inside that our intention and our spirituality is also mathematical, and they're not used to that language that includes both, and so we are that new language, and it's a new language that they all need to reach for, because if they don't reach for it, nothing will set. It has to set through the complete system of the embodiment, not just parts.
Yeah.
So there's there I've spoken again.
Oh, that's so good. Tosat is their guarding and the intentional key.
And these are the fairy tales, a bit of wild swans, and that one down there. Oh, it looks very watery.
I know.
Crocodile a little bit. And crocodile is one of my totemics.
Matter moves through us as we capture the space of our being in a molecular container of waved particles that fashion themselves as we fashion ourselves. The relationship is a photonic resonance of sound, shape, and color immersion.
And one thing very interesting in the mastership class was the referral to the black hole, and it even both Nassim and Greg talk about the discovery that the proton is like a black hole, and that the black hole, and they were talking about, how black holes are like tubes, and it's like a black hole. And so we're filled with all these black holes. And inside the black hole is information. And it has a content element. And this was the way our work was set up. We didn't have this knowledge, but we do have this knowledge.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like they call that knowledge from the field. And that field is like referred to, I mean, it's this space that it's black.
Mm-hmm.
And in it, though, is a totality of content that's in the black. And so we have to learn to see in the dark. And around that black hole is, they talk about that there's a nestfulness around the edge of the black hole where you could actually live at the edge of the black hole. If you, even in the world and out in
Mm-hmm.
space, that you could actually live at the edge of a black hole. And so we call that our nestfulness. You can nest out there. And so every proton you have is a black hole. And so at the edge of the black hole is your ability to find place inside the content that's in the black hole. And that content is, to us, is actually out of the dark, out of the black, just like in the Egyptian mysteries, out of that watery blackness comes the Neteru. But to us, what comes out of it are the patterns. And the patterns would have to be fully colored because they're coming out of black. And what comes out of black is fully colored. Mm-hmm. And so we set all our work on black and is specific to that, so that everything you look at is like looking inside your own proton. All your protons, every pattern is like it's coming out of your own protons. And it's a sense of place, and it creates a sense of place. And that resonance of sound, it works with sound, shape, and color immersion. And all the patterns, that's what we had to accept, is all colors. Because to work with the information from the black hole or from your proton, you have millions of protons. And so to work with that, you have to be able to accept color. Because it's that content that you came here to resonate with. Mm-hmm. And that's what you have as your soul reach. And so each of your protons is a black hole with the resonance of your soul reach. And that soul reach is color. And so what we had to do is sit down inside of all color and have no judgment of where it went on the page. Mm-hmm. And that is the dynamics of the science of the protons in action, in sight. You can imprint them because they're part of yourself. At least you're imprinting content that's part of yourself instead of the impactful content that is given to us in the world as pain and war and hate. And you're more impacted by those than love, unfortunately. Because love never impacts you. It graduates with you. Mm-hmm. But all the others, they impact. They're meant to impact. And these patterns that come out of the black hole, these patterns that we have brought to this world, are the patterns that undo where those deep, deep impactions have imprinted themselves down into your own proton content down deep. Mm-hmm. And so these patterns go down deep into the black holes of the photon and the protons to actually loosen the impactful imprint and then bring it up and out. And so all this work is in different levels of where that is and who you are in the world. Some of you need all the patterns, everyone, but the pictures, it is nestial, it is what this information is. They talk about that everything is part of everything. We're that kind of being. This is this kind of life. So you can look at one imprint, and if you're capable, all the other imprints are behind it. they're inside of it like nesting dolls. And every one of our paintings are available through any one of our paintings. And so it just depends on the capacity that you can take in and work with. But that capacity, every moment in time, can grow. Your soul reach can at any time utilize all the information out of one simple imprint. And this is why we put them on in line. This is why we keep going onto the very painful social media, and we face into its upset, and we face into its your pending and denial. And we keep doing it. We've done it as long as we've been able to be in the market of social media. We have done it, and it's been painful. It's been unbelievably confusing to learn all its methods and all its tricks and all its ways. And then to bring the color, which we were told in Maine by the Bruce Brown at the Maine Center, that we had our nerve bringing this much color to Maine. And so the color is upsetting because the color comes out of the content of truth that's in the black hole, of each proton that has the content of everything you need. That's why our work is set on black, and that upsets people, because that's when it's working at its most brilliant. And all our children's books are set on it, and they love black. The kids love black because they're ready. That we have maybe 20 children's books, not all published, but those children's books cover the 100 in some books that we've written that aren't. And it's because children, they are ready now to receive color. They're ready for black. They love black. They love the content of their protons. Mm-hmm. And they love the content of who they are and where they come from. And so you paint black when you need room. And so we paint a lot of black. And we keep facing into it. If you can find time to respond to it, even with a like or a love, it helps. You help make the numbers bigger than the refusal. Mm-hmm. Right now, the refusal is pretty big. And the refusal of the Ukrainians is pretty big. And they're a colorful people. Mm-hmm. They're an emotional people. And that's what we need in the world, is their color. And we've done quite a bit of work with them. Mm-hmm. So, toe set. Help us get a toe set. Mm-hmm. Let's help us get a toe hold. Yeah. We need a toe hold into the social media. I mean, we are on all of them, and we post a lot. And but funny enough, Twitter, we've got a toe hold there. Mm-hmm. That we put just one pattern in, and we usually have 30 to 70 people actually look at it. You know, mm-hmm. They don't say anything, but we know they were there. That's the beginning. And the Alchemical Mind gets sometimes 40 to 60 toe holds people actually visited. Mm-hmm. That's more than we've had before anywhere. Yeah. And then, of course, on the big picture of the Alchemical Mind, we get anywhere from 3 to 5 to 1,000 mm-hmm. on that. Mm-hmm. And that's all over the world. Mm-hmm. And then here in this area, we get anywhere from, it's getting better at times, from 2 to even 18 mm-hmm. at a time, mm-hmm. but not every day. The 2 is usually us. And so, and a wonderful man we've talked about is Norman Laurie. He is some kind of special angel out there, and he is our promoter, and mm-hmm. he loves everything. So we're grateful. So I just wanted to speak to this because we've got to have somewhere to say it.
Yep.
Yeah.
We do.
Matter moves through us mm-hmm. as we capture the space of our being in a molecular container of a waved particle that fashions themselves as we fashion ourselves. The relationship is photonic, resonance of sound, shape, and color immersion. And they talk about place. We have a whole book called Place for children, and we've always talked about place. And in this mastership class, that's a very important part of it is place. And that's your toe hold.
Our light body projects itself into view and stabilizes the atmosphere with its presence. Place and position are marked, and the needled presence is threaded into the fabric of fibered awareness.
I love this picture. This is a show we did here with, what was her name?
I forgot.
Amy Robbins.
Oh,
Yeah, we had not as much fun as we would have liked to have had. That was the year my mom died. And during that time that we were preparing this was when she died. And, but I was able to follow her through the Bardos and hold her and help her cross over with a Mutric language that I know.
Yeah.
And so it felt really good. And we were preparing this show. There wasn't as much understanding of sacred sound that between us and her. Would have loved to had more, and I think a shared space wasn't quite there. That we would have liked to had more easily. But I'm grateful for the show.
Yeah.
And I'm grateful for the collaboration. I learned a lot, and I love these pictures that we took. The whole beauty of getting to see this is the divine archetype. But these are actually the different illuminary patterns that we did first of the bigger picture in time and space, and the whole embodiment of that across her body while she danced was awesome, and it was something we could have never had if we hadn't journeyed that way and done it together, and I'm grateful for it, and I love it right here in this space. Mycelial network extends its light above and below, though through its ever-branching shapes, and we are connected through the electromagnetic field, both as we breathe and as we step.
1 foot forward marks the way, and we compose ourselves through the motion of our own mapping. The internal and external resonance rocks and sways to the movement as the elephant of our totemic nature moves obstacles out of the way.
Oh, I love this. And I remember we got these at Clayton Jones' place in...
These,
Those
Yeah.
are awesome.
and we got them in their little shop, and they look like Easter eggs.
they do, don't they?
And they have
All
little
the different
numbers and a
stones.
little box.
Wow.
Each one is a what would you call that? Crystal gemstones.
Gemstones, yeah.
And they just look like little Easter eggs.
Don't they?
They're
They
wonderful.
look like planets too.
Oh, and here,
from afar.
Easter's this weekend. So how's that for
Oh,
time
yeah,
length?
that's perfect.
Making fluid our watered existence, we flow with the ease of our listening deeply into the geometric sounds of the mother. Voice and tongue collaborate, and the clear is heard easily.
Oh, I love that, Robert.
Mm-hmm.
That was page 25.
Yep.
Yeah, with the eggs. Tone becomes noted, and the reach is found in its match with the heart. Heart-mind resonates with their combined strength, and we find solace within ourselves. This is a body of work that we did years ago. We called it Midsummer's Night's Dream.
Yeah, it's just so gorgeous.
One of the first big that was done on watercolor
Yeah.
paper, but with acrylic.
Yeah.
But they weren't huge. They were, what do you say, just on a tablet.
Yeah, on a tablet. I forget what's
Oh, they turned out
I think they're
gorgeous.
like-
We did a lot of work.
Brilliant.
At that time, we did the whole story of Never Ends on this same. It's a high quality watercolor paper with acrylic paint, which doesn't fade.
Yeah.
Yeah. We move ourselves through the doorway of creativity and awesome landscape of interior beauty, and match the radiance it provides with the light outside, giving the pattern its richness and clear projection. Boy, that's perfect
That is
with them.
Boy, it is, isn't it?
Whoa.
We did
And
good.
everybody loves this group,
Mm-hmm.
and I love it too. It just people just
we're
move
talking
to that.
page 26 here on the flip book.
So I love they're all
Whoops.
together there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's really cool.
Coming closer to the relief of existence, we are made from the matter of our desire to want. and our need to be. We are all granted the wishes of form in its space of time, so that we add to the fabric being woven.
I love that, the wishes of form and space. That,
Mhm.
here we are, we're mostly not here, we're mostly space.
Mm-hmm.
And here we are, beings that are in embodiment. And in the embodiment, we are granted wishes of form, things that we could touch and hold and move about in our hands and sense and smell and see the patterns of. That's a great gift. That's what embodiment is here for, is to utilize all that. And sadly, we don't utilize all of it because we don't know how, but on all the levels that we could use. I love this piece because we did this years ago. We got those little eggs years ago.
Uh-huh.
And I don't know, did we even do it in Georgia maybe?
I don't remember.
What we did, they're all little porcelain eggs, and we painted, and it was just magic to us to have them. We used them at Easter, then we photographed them, and then this painting up on the right is one about spring.
Mm-hmm.
And then these paintings down here was a book, a watercolor book that I did up in Lubeck about birds.
Mm-hmm.
And I was so excited
Birds
about
and
that.
nests.
So this is all about, it's about flight and the alchemical egg. Mm-hmm. Make sure the light opens your door. You open first yourself and allow the smallest sound to enter. Small is the key and open is the event. Sounds very Alice in Wonderland, doesn't it, with the little key?
Uh-huh.
The eventual always occurs when combined with the ready of compassion and love. That is very Alice in Wonderland. I love that. Okay.
The mother tree centers herself in every forest, and we hear her call easily by our footed step. Step by step, the path is made clear, and we gather the fragrance to us.
I love this one.
Mm-hmm.
This collage is a 3D one, and I just love the way it sits right in, sits right up. Fold set midwives us by thinning the portal entrance. That's very much like effacement in birth. To equate our patterns into a cortex we can utilize. Cortex. Oh well.
Close.
Cortex. Codex, maybe it's part of the cortex, we can utilize. And I love this fold set is a Syrian feline master fold. Oh, well, these things just pop out.
Are you thinking about your little sister making little beds for her dollies?
Oh, I know. Now that's a cotex. I said cortex.
Yeah.
Don't take me farther than I went, although I went there anyway.
Yeah.
Fold set, Syrian felines, master fold thinners, the cats of creative mastery that equates the numbers of equational creativity. Aren't they cool?
They are very cool.
I love them, the different collages put together, and their two faces, and this wonderful conial. Listen, that is like coming up out of the book.
Yeah.
That is just exciting to me.
Very magical.
Yeah.
The wooden wand appears in and out of the foliage, and its magic brings light to the sight. And the sight gathers its strength, and the wooded way is accepted as path chosen.
Whoa. So that's the portal.
Mm-hmm. That's the portal.
So it's through Gaia.
Uh-huh.
Through the trees.
Yep.
Through the gemmos.
Uh-huh.
Through the mycelial, through the root system.
Yep.
And then that goes out into the galaxy. Wow.
No small thing. Formed from the light of acceptance, we accept ourselves as we are and encourage others to do the same as the kindred begins to magnetize itself to group and cluster.
I thought it was going to say magazine itself.
We get that one just right.
Huh.
I love this. It's like they've all been pulled together, and it creates a world, like a magnetic world.
A world. I love it.
That they're all different times and space.
I love the A being right there in the center. The papered awareness, there's an A. The papered awareness spreads its sheets into a columned awareness of digital enumerations, and the amount of given is added, So the recognition registers with each letter. And there's the letter A.
Oh
A
my God.
world. I love
That's
that.
wonderful. The fish files align with the timing of present, and the alpha begins the path forward. We read and are now able to reread the books of Given. Time expands for us, and the landscape opens its vista. It's like all the books and all the information, it's like you get the outer part of it, but it's not until later, after you use part of it, that you get the inner part, because you're not ready for that. And it's like, so the books, they layer and unlayer as you layer and unlayer.
Yeah.
Whoa, I love this whole combo
There's
of the
Trigger Stoppers. And
Dreamtime characters with the daisy.
Oh, love that.
And the fairy codex.
Mm-hmm.
Woo, lots of the fairy codex in Trinary Code.
over there in the lower right-hand corner.
Yes.
Oh, beautiful.
Oh, I love that one. Delicious.
Traveled are the photonic patterns of light held in the mycelial of the rooted way, and the past begins to take its course in the way of nature. We are natural to the path, and the new in you supports us beyond all others.
And it's like they call the David Wilcox did, and Brad Yates, and they all call the they call it the field. David calls it the source field. They call it the field. It's all about that. And the new in Egyptian mysteries is this dark, watery, that everything comes out of. And it's one of the first positions.
Right there while we're falling back there.
Okay, and go down.
Mm-hmm.
Let's go down through the Dewat here.
There we go.
The red thread
Here.
Oh, yeah. We are the scattered seeds across the forest floor. And beneath your boot, we are buried deep into our sprouting. Nature always finds a way to bring light to the black, rich earth of our longing. The red thread consumes the needle, the weaver, and the penetrational hole portal all at once in one time. I love this right above when you talked about that the forest floor and beneath our boot, and we are beneath your boot, we are buried deep into the sprouting. But I saw a thing on Facebook this morning. It was like somebody, what's on your boot? Why we don't take our boots inside? And it had all the stuff's on your boot. And it's probably all these seeds and sprouting stuff, and black and dirt all coming into the house, and
don't let the world in.
And it's all going to get you. And I talk about how often we go in and out of the house all day long.
Right.
Taking Gaia in and out, in and out, in and out.
Home finds us in our place of real, and we cozy into the corners of our squared existence. We map our way forward with the constant aid of our navigator, Raven. Black as pitch, she finds every thread of light.
Oh, thank you, sweetie. Our forest is filled to overflowing with the animals of our totemic nature. We are sovereign here, and we are attended to by our relationship to all that is great and small.
Oh, that's beautiful.
I love this one. This is one of the newer ones. I just love how it came out.
This collage.
Awesome.
It's a collage. The alchemy creates space for the alchemical child. And the portal opens and you become realization.
Oh, wow.
This is on page 32 of the collage, of the flip book.
And I just picked it
beautiful.
out.
I
I didn't
love that
realize that it was realization, but that's what we talked about so much
perfect.
here. And I just love this combination of paintings, and then there you are right there in the middle. Isn't that wonderful? And there's the writing. Childhood is no stranger to us. Play is an ally. And with the tools of our organic origamic nature, we fold and bend, crease, and lay open the map of our signatured grace, listening. Oh, that is
Yeah.
wondrous.
Mhm.
Oh, so true. Our gur is fired up, and the wand of wood is handed forward to make a shemmed existence reliable and constant. Acceptance brings the presence of life, more sighted and loved, into a desired position of want. I love to make a shemmed existence. I love that combination. I did this one around some of the things that I've been reading over and over and over again about what they call the overactive nervous system, or the vagus nerve, or the evolving soul reach, or the person that is going through evolvial shifts and changes is called an overactive nervous system, but on other levels, it's actually a being that's shedding. And so I wanted to get these in here because I've been using a lot of them to help me oracle myself through. And they're kind of like my, what's that thing you go underwater and you breathe through? What's that called?
A snorkel.
Snorkel. This is my snorkel system. And we got the body zero up there. We got the penetration of the patterns. We got the GMO buds. We got the source of
The source
picture.
field.
The source.
That's the
Oh,
source
that's what
field.
it is. That's a source field.
Uh-huh.
Oh my gosh! And she's in the source field,
Yeah.
moving through it. And then this is the rosemary and colors, and pine and all of it, gimmoing itself into our life through color. And these are the patterns of. I think these are the omnidirectional patterns that help set you upright through these travels. And it says Gimmels, Imprensio, mycelial light patterns, play, tapping, herbs, humming, movement, flower essences, meditation, community. Community is important. You need people that understand when you're going through different levels of this, and that they're doing the same thing, and lots of times you can do it together, or they can do it for you. And it's like community is essential right now if you're going to move through this kind of evolutionary time. So it's got humming, listening to calm music. We do that. Deep sighs. I think we've done that a lot this week. I didn't know if that was shacking, like shacking up, or what is that? And anyway, that energy is very good. It helps the vagus nerve, sexuality. Exercising, yoga, touch therapy, gargling, meditation, cold showers, singing, chanting, connecting with nature. In fact, they had one person that showed you how to put ice water in a bowl, and then you stick your face, you're in the bowl, and it shocks the system and evidently pulls you out where you're going down under. That's kind of dramatic, but there. Singing,
Maybe that's
chanting.
how Swedish people do that.
Yeah.
Ice dips.
Well, that's right. That's on your application. Are you weird? And we are, so that could be.
Yeah.
Connecting with nature, massage, aromatherapy, deep breathing. The butterfly hug, squeezing a stress ball, practicing mindfulness, dancing, body scan, connecting with loved ones. Part of the body scan is like Touch for Health, where you scan all the meridians and you see which ones are up and ready, and then which ones are kind of down and out. And so that you can get them more up and ready. Connecting with loved ones, placing your hand over your heart with deep breathing, petting an animal, doing art. That's what we got Poppy here. We do not rent him out because we need him. Petting an animal, doing art, gentle touch, regular self-care, tapping, which we do a lot. It's very, very good. Laughter, gentle tickling, which we haven't done a lot of, and don't you dare. And body therapy.
Yeah. Pretty darn good.
And there, here we go. Listening finds the center of the sound, and the sound resonates its notes of A. Acceptance, allowed, altruistic, accommodating. We bring the being into focus, and the wand of wood points the way. And so that's a lot of the work of of the trees
Mhm.
and
Mhm.
the gemmols are all part of the wand of wood.
Yeah.
And then working in your garden is part of the wand of wood. So it's very important to allow this to point the way.
Yep.
Tree, bud, and leaf.
All transformed in the mycelial network of communication. The subatomic network energizes the light patterns as they form their intrinsic language into a visual accommodation of ease and relief.
I love this. This is a new collage that we made for this month's long spoon.
I think I'll leave that.
And we now call it the Alchemical long spoon for
Mhm.
April, because that's our focus,
Yep.
2023. So each month we do a new Alchemical long spoon.
Mm-hmm.
And most of you all have a subscription, and we so
Mhm.
appreciate it. And it's very helpful. It's like we don't have a huge amount, but we have enough to build money to do this work.
Mm-hmm.
You know, if we need to pay, we have to pay for this website every single month. And over a year, it amounts to quite a bit of money. We have to pay to actually, these flip books that we're doing for you and for the other things cost us how much a month?
I think it's like $28 a month.
$28 a month to use the apps
Program.
the program that helps us make the flip books. And so there's a lot of things that we have to pay for to kind of keep the publishing going in whatever kind of form, either on social media or in books or in the availability of information. So it's even, I think we only have, how many do we have now?
17.
We have 17 in Long Spoon. And it sounds like a really small number when we were looking for 200, but it gives us, it's not enough to help us with our daily needs, but it does help us with the needs of this work.
Mm-hmm.
And so we keep it
Yeah.
separate, and we use it. What else did we just buy lately?
A little bit for research, that a lot of the different programs and master classes.
Yes, to do
Mhm.
research so that we can connect ourselves better out into the world.
Mm-hmm.
So we appreciate it. And all of you that have done this with it, we are so grateful. And I know the universe is grateful because you're helping it be there and
Mhm.
you're helping make sure that it happens so that it's available to many more people than just you.
Yeah.
So the Alchemical Long Spoon for April 2023 is about occupying more sovereignty in this world as love.
That's
And,
perfect.
I love the collage.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, hon.
Marking our readiness to our listening, we create from the given. And no matter what we have, we share the contents expressed for the renewal of life, patterning life forward along the network of compassion and love.
And see, you notice that all these little peels and little telling about the different things inside of this work, I do most of it. And the reason is that you notice that in all the things where you got monks and nuns and people that are doing, it's usually the woman that does the appeal. You know, you got the
Mhm.
begging nuns, and you may have a few begging monks, do you? But
Mhm.
no, there's not great.
In the east, you do not.
Yeah.
Not this.
Yeah.
Not in this direction. Not the west.
So I'm more inclined for the begging. Okay, just teasing
I
you.
know. Singular are the notes. Combined is their strength. Heard are our moments of surrender to the majesty of all that surrounds us and calls us part of.
Oh, I love that, Robert.
Mm-hmm.
I love
Wow.
these.
You had to beg for that, didn't you?
Mm-hmm. I had to beg for it.
He has to do a lot of begging for these
Yeah.
words, so he doesn't have room to do a lot more.
No.
Taking the small, but if I need anything, he's right there. Taking the small and cutting a path for large. Size begins to speak. This was so fun to make. What stands up for courage begins to take a seat, front and center.
Mm-hmm.
And I tell you, this collage was so fun because on my desk I've been doing my really serious work. It's a little round table, yellow, and we eat breakfast together on it. It's right in front of my big chair, and Robert is in a rolly chair, and he comes over. And then when I'm not doing my serious work, I'm doing this even more serious work of playing. And these little characters are very tiny, and Robert ordered them for me as a surprise, and they're from the movie Totoro.
Totoro.
And I have them in a little drawer. And then one day I had these cut out tigers that I was working photographing. And all at once they jumped out of the drawer, and I have this beautiful bird sculpture on my altar, and that little guy jumped in it. And then all at once they all started being on the table, and they came into this collage. And that is the most serious part of work I did in that day. Now let's read that again, what they're talking about.
Okay.
Taking the small and cutting a path for large. Size begins to speak. What stands up for courage begins to take a seat front and center. And there they are.
They're
They're very little. They're like,
little,
what are
little
they?
bitty. I
They're
don't
not
know.
even an inch.
No, they're like half-inch guys.
Yeah, it's a very fun world.
Yeah.
I'm glad to share it.
Yeah. Into the nest of the branch we fly.
Oh, that's perfect.
Taking our feathered existence into the quiet repose of our deepest spirit.
See, and that's his deepest spirit, the bird
Oh,
there.
yeah. And there we rest until called upon to share once again what we hear from deep within the forest.
Oh, that is so perfect. Okay, closure. Every pattern and crossover creates a new geometric balance. And the travel of the patterns within and without can initiate our capacity to embrace our future as a new constitutional, safe, made real. And this class, I would say, is a constitutional class.
Yes.
And I love this collage here.
So we've talked
Closure
about,
page.
and the thing about what enhances our constitution,
Uh-huh.
fills it and embodies it. And then we've talked about the constitution of our work and the constitution of ourselves and how we can, what helps that constitutional. And we also are taking gemmos, fig, silver birch, and lime. And then, what's the other one?
I'm taking hazel
Yes.
and let's see, what was the other one?
Seabuck.
Sea buckthorn and English blueberry.
Did I say fig, silver birch?
Fig.
Fig, silver birch, and lime.
Yeah.
And it is amazing how they have shifted our constitution. And then we are also taking the luminaries, and we're specifically taking luminaries for the constitutional, but luminaries for galactic. Speaking galactically was a big one this week. Cathedric Climb was another one. What was the Oracle to Ourselves? Oracling to Ourselves. What other one?
Trying to remember what that other one was. Can't remember at the moment.
Well, anyway, and it's been so much to keep track of these that we've moved them, the lot of them, at least particulars of them, from our bedroom up to the desk in the dining room. Because that way we don't forget.
Yeah, don't forget them. They're right in front of us every day.
And so we don't forget what we need to continue.
Yeah.
So, here.
Okay, this collage is pattern excels your excellence and erases nonsense. The two cannot exist in the same breath. So choose now.
And I need that every day.
Me too.
And there's a lot of nonsense out there right now.
There is a lot of nonsense out
And it's sticky. It's such sticky nonsense. It's like you got into a bunch of, candy, and it's taffy, and it's stuck to everything, including your hair.
Yeah.
And even though you think you're very brave and you're very constitutionalized, that sticky stuff gets all over everything before you even know it's happened. It's kind of like cotton candy.
Yep.
Okay.
We're like the eggs that Suzanne dropped, and Hoppy can tell you about that.
This is the last part of this is the back cover. It's wonderful. This is a surprising collage. I haven't done many exactly like this. It just takes my breath away.
Yeah.
The complexity is in the simple movement of one space to another, as if it is putting it all together, not apart.
I love that.
And I have to come back to that because at times I
Wow.
feel like I'm being pulled
I
apart,
know.
and I'm being put back. I'm being put together. It's a good thing to meditate on, and intention in your day. We have wolf and we have oak. We have the dancing bird goddess, Victory, and then we have the moon, grandmother moon, and then in the center of it is part of the drawing out of the source field.
Source field, yeah.
So
Awesome.
now we'll take a little
That's
time.
a heck of a class.
Yes, for Suzanne, Christina, and Suzanne and Sandra to kind of pull together the things that they want to remember and re-remember and
We'll
share
keep
with you all.
recording, and normally I am gathering up this work and putting it into a flip book, but I think it'll come to you a little bit later this afternoon because I'm going to try to resize some of the image files, so that it'll be a little less. Yeah, we're still going.
Turn it off.
Okay, let's see. So, I think we will.
Y'all think about that. I got to go to the bathroom.
Okay, that was a really good class.
Yeah,
I
it was.
loved it. I
So,
loved
guys, can you all give us a little bit of your feelings about this new time?
There's a lot. Let's see.
Well, I love it because
You'll probably have to
I think it
speak
was
a little louder.
Last
hon.
week we talked about the constitutional.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I was looking in my notes, but I remember talking about it,
I remember that too.
and you've
Coming up.
carried it through.
Oh, well, like
here.
Jermaine was there for the Constitution.
Yes, yeah.
That's what.
All
yeah.
of that. That's what it was. Yeah. But that word has really stuck to me because to me it's forming, and that's what you've got the last sentence, that we're actually embracing the future as a new constitutional.
Oh, wow. I said that last week? Or this week?
No, you got it right there at the
Oh,
bottom of the
yeah.
closure. And I
Okay.
thought that's exactly. And then I loved the part about all of this I see as a constitutional. The mycelial communicators. And
Wow.
that was with the gemmos. But to me, the patterns are mycelial communicators. It's like a new way of seeing the patterns.
You're so right. Ooh, I love that.
And that as we fashion ourselves, that's recreating the Constitution, or constitutional.
Oh,
And-
that's
and
great
the-
connecting.
Yeah, and then the mycelial network extends its light above and below. I loved that. This whole thing that we watched with the what is it? The
Forbidden Science?
forbidden? No,
Or the
gardener.
The gardener?
No, that
or
was
the fantastic fungi?
fungi. That was a really an emotional movie to watch for me. But it brought back the whole point of from the very depths and coming all the way up to light. And when you talked about the deep dive, was that on from the deep within the forest, the quiet repose of our deepest thingies.
Yeah, that was really beautiful to see in that way.
And also the
section.
part where our need to be.
Oh, honey, can you talk a little louder? Robert, I don't know
Yeah.
if it's picking up.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just lean forward a little more.
Oh,
I don't want them to miss what you're
Yeah.
saying.
that our need to
Yeah,
be.
that's good.
What I do is I end up catching phrases, and that's where
I
then
love it.
I start traveling with that phrase. But our need to be actually expands for us and into us. And your stand up for courage begins to take a seat front and center. And that's where, as we're going out, that's what we need to do. Each of us, all five of, the five of us, to stand up for courage and begin to take a seat front and center. and support the work going out. And that's part of the Constitution. So it's like we're building our constitutional ability to put the work forward. In whatever way we can. I mean, you've done the work, and now we can support as you're bringing it forward.
Well, it's a work it's a work that's balanced in the wholeness of the male and female, and so you're also putting out the wholeness of yourself in the male and female.
Yes,
so you're sharing that in the world.
Yeah.
You're supporting that kind of integrity of the self, because there's a lot of selves that are not going out as that kind of defining energy, but that's what this work is.
Yeah.
So that, I think that's really cool.
Yeah, thank you.
Because
That's
in that way, you're
level
doing
of
that
it.
of yourself too.
Yeah.
You can't support that kind of energy if you're not that energy, or you're willing to become or be that energy. I don't know. What do you all think?
I agree totally.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's what's has been building. Is building.
I've always seen your constitution, as like the relationship between the community of your cells and the community of all the parts of who you are, psychically, spiritually, emotionally, physically. All of it is a community, and it's in relationship with each other. And if those relationships have been stressed, or have not been fully developed, or have been broken or reversed, through different, like you were talking about, the different impactual imprints, things that happen in our lives, or ways we've been imprinted, that's tried to disconnect that relationship. So it's like, when you talk about your constitution, it's the strength of all of those fibers, of all of those relationships. So I loved how this whole book was about all the different things that can shore up those relationships, mend what's been broken, strengthen what needs to be shored up, so that your constitution is strong enough to step into what's emerging in this spring and our future, and it affects everything as we're trying to move forward. So grateful for all of the different insights, the different ways to see, and perspectives to see how to strengthen those relationships,
that's wonderful.
so that I can have a strong constitutional, I have a strong constitution. And I think there, just the different things that you talked about that were amazing, and realizing more and more about the light and principal patterns, that how mycelial they are and why they are. And
Me too.
And the fact that I loved how in these forbidden science things they've been talking about, that we as beings are not so much things or matter as much as we are a place. And that's like a new way of seeing, we are like a wrinkle, or a formation, a singularity that's happened in the field.
That's wonderful.
And so inside of that, we are made up, as you were sharing, all these protons of black holes of information. And I loved how you said that these patterns actually come from the information of yourself. So you're not getting some foreign thing.
Yeah.
You actually are imprinting the content of yourself that you haven't been able to access because of these things that have been impactual imprints instead of light imprints. And so
wonderful.
I just love that more and more is coming forward of what was you all were willing to bring forward without all the understanding of, but now we are gaining more understanding. It's like the science is catching up with what you intuitively knew or were willing to bring through without the proof, the explanations, the understanding. So I'm really excited about that part, and I'm excited about having
feeling like I have more language. It's like my constitution is getting stronger in its understanding and its development, so that I can link together more and share more of what this is all about.
You're more shimmed up.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you use constitutional alignment so much in the books. But I've loved, but now I really see the fullness of that.
Yeah.
That alignment.
Yeah.
It is lining up.
You can hold more weight when you're shemmed up. Like
Yeah.
when Sandra was working me doing the cranial sacral, all at once she said, "Oh my God, it's stronger. Your pelvis is stronger. It's like it's more shemmed up. It can hold more weight, so you can take on more patterns and take on more ability to create a greater constitutional, so that you can be a bigger piece in your own life."
Is that okay?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh, that's wonderful.
I love that.
Okay. Yeah.
Cool.
Oh, that is
I
wonderful.
thought it was
Thank
so
you.
delicious about Gemoic Sanctuary.
Oh,
that was
that
so
was
fun.
fabulous.
Oh my gosh. I realized like our little altar space of where we have the gemmos and the firefly luminaries, I think we'll call it our Gemoic Sanctuary.
Oh, I love that.
That was so cool. And you referred to like us studying the quantum physics and stuff, you referred to it as spiritual sciences, which I thought was really cool.
Yeah.
Oh.
And I feel like because there is so much going on in the world, I loved how you shared about, you can see what's going on, but then like discover something more, and like enter a real conversation outside of all of the chaotic, misinformation, all these other things. So I feel like that was like just emphasizing that place of real. And so I love how you connected all of those things.
I love how you brought it back. I love thinking about it again.
That was so cool. And I think both Suzanne and I were really moved about you talking about the moon bridge and how it actually is like the alchemy of air and water, which are our elements too. And that was also the elements of today's alchemical mind were our elements too. And so I just thought that was beautiful. Just that awareness of that's where air and water meet. So
I thought that too.
that was really special.
I was really thrilled at that. How it just moved into place.
It was really awesome. And the tree gemmos moving our world in alliance with the mycelial climate of change. That was really, really cool. I love that word alliance with the mycelial climate of change rather than focusing on climate change. Yeah, and it was there was so much connection in that.
Yeah, maybe we'll be able to speak more on that
relationship.
Yeah, underline that. I want to remember it too. Say it again.
Oh, sure. Tree gemmos moving our world in alliance with the mycelial climate of change.
Wow.
And that collage with it was just delicious.
Wasn't that delicious?
That was so awesome.
It looked like such an insignificant that all it took was that little bud and that other thing. When I got in the car.
It was incredible, really.
Oh my gosh.
I love how casually said, "Oh, hand me the phone.
Yeah, I just got
I want to take a picture."
It's so
So
cool. There was also a couple of parts about the alchemy creates space for the alchemical child, and a portal opens and you become realization.
Oh God!
Yeah.
I was really moved by that.
I did too. I was moved by it.
And the red thread consumes the needle, the weaver, and the penetrational hole, portal, all at one time.
Whoa, that was one of the collages, wasn't it?
Uh-huh.
Oh my God!
That is a great
that
one.
was really.
I love that.
And the way you bring it together with image, it's just really, you can actually, it fibers to my mind and my heart.
Can you read that again?
The red thread consumes the needle, the weaver, and penetrational hole, portal, all at one time.
Well, thank you. Thank you so much.
I think there's been so much how you talk about the red thread, but I don't think I've ever heard you share it like the red thread consumes the needle. You know,
Yes.
there's been like the needle of intention, and there's been threading the needle, but it's like picturing the red thread consuming the needle.
Oh,
There's just something really powerful and potent with that.
Oh, it is that when we penetrate anything, we thread the needle.
Mm-hmm.
Anytime we put a thread through the needle, it consumes it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's like a wonderful.
And just you had mentioned about female power, positioned for the mark of sovereignty, threading through its lineage. And that was really, really cool, based on our discussion with female power and
Yes.
lineage and everything.
Oh, that one. I think that's in the Red Thread book.
It's really cool. So thank
There
you
was-
so much.
There
Oh,
was
thank you.
something you said, Christina, that made me think. It reminded me to mention a really cool realization that you were talking about, Suzanne, that really struck me. Is we've been watching all this about the new science, the forbidden sciences out there, and what they're discovering, and it's so much about the knowing, and it's amazing and it's wonderful. But as you were saying, the emotional, the feeling level of science and math has got to be integrated if we want a complete picture of
And
what
that's what we
science
are
really
about.
is.
Yeah.
And
They
that's
won't
what
let
we
us
are.
in.
I know. And so that's what's really interesting of what we're all working with, is trying to take out the obstacles and the resistances to bringing the knowing and feeling together, the male and the female together, to get the whole picture that's balanced and complete and will set new changes. Because if you've only got the one part, it's always going to be lacking. It won't have the whole picture, and it won't create the momentum needed for true change. And I just think you hit the nail on the head of what we're really running up against, and what what needs to change. And so, like they say, awareness is the first step, right?
That's right. That's right. That's right.
But anyway, thank you for that
Yeah,
insight.
thank
It
you
was
for
just,
the-
and this whole class was amazing.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you all.
And
Appreciate
I
that.
think that the description too that you talked about with the imprintile patterns, having an intrinsic language that brings comfort and ease.
Oh, I forgot
Yeah,
that.
I wasn't able to write the whole thing down, but I thought that was really beautiful.
It is.
How you called it an intrinsic language, because
Yes.
it really is that on so many levels. So
It really
It's just-
is. It's like me, after we write it, Robert and I, it's like reaffirming ourselves
yeah,
of what we were given, you know. That's
I'll
really,
hold on to
that's
that
so
this
great
week.
about our conversations afterwards when you all, because it's, we're given it in a certain way, and it brings it back what we're given, and then we're given to it in another way. I love that.
Well, it helps us too. I mean,
Yeah.
it helps us to realize what we're integrate and pull together what we've been given. It's really very powerful. Thank you.
and we did hear the notes of A.
Yes,
just get this-
there was
get the
another
signal.
note.
Oh,
for
that was
music
right.
this week.
That's right. And today, the outside electrical work was completed. He came to tell us it was completed, and that's like on many other levels, and that is really something to celebrate.
Yes,
Yeah.
it is.
Yeah,
That
it
is.
absolutely is.
Fabulous.
Yeah. And I love the fact that today is so-called Good Friday, and it's like the success of the world being able to strike out a being that was hope, that actually had his male and his female together in that lifetime. And it's so, because there's many say that that things were made so that it didn't really end quite that way, and that their Magdalene and his relationship went on. They had several children, and then he went on into maybe other work, but his own deep work. But I love that the day that where they thought they massacred that kind of relationship, that in actuality they weren't allowed to, and that was what they were after. I feel they probably wouldn't have crucified Jesus if he hadn't been in relationship with Magdalene. Maybe he wouldn't have been betrayed in the garden, except there was jealousy and denied. Except there was jealousy of the strength of the female wedded circumference that he had with a very powerful Magdalene. And so his message was complete, and it needed to be. But the church, hid all that. There never would have been a priesthood of chastity. That's not part of that equation, and it's still it's very difficult to be that in this world, because it takes a lot to stand in that in this world, and there's a lot of denial when that power has been reached, and we're not going to die for that. So I just think this day is really a celebration, because the real celebration is that really didn't happen, and the real celebration is that that isn't a message.
Yep.
Yeah.
Because it didn't.
Yeah.
That's good.
That is good.
Wow.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Anybody
Yeah,
else got
thank
y'all
you.
done?
Thank you,
I think we're
Robert.
good.
That is so good, and I really enjoyed this
It was
class.
amazing.
I love. You're going to absolutely love the collages within it,
Yeah.
and you're going to have fun with the flip book. You really are.
It is fun.
That's
Mhm.
for sure.
We love it too.
So thank you for joining us.
Thank you for joining us once again, making time
Yep.
to listen to this in whole or in part, or to read the flip book and take it in, and let it be part of the change and hope for this week for you,
Yes.
as well as us.
And we will see you next Friday, which will be the 14th.
Yeah.
Oh,
See you
zipping
then.
right along, halfway through the month then.
Yeah.
Isn't that
Wow.
amazing?
Yeah, it's quite fascinating how time works.
Bye.
Okay, so long for now.
Happy Easter egg.
Yes, indeed. Thank you.